Okay. We are ready. Good evening, everyone. It is February 6th. Welcome to the work session that we're having this evening. Ramon Reed is here, Ed Pinato's here, Jared Garrettson's here, and Tom Gibb is here. Trustees are here, and tonight's work session is fairly limited in scope, though I don't know how broad the discussion will be. And so you can read it on your bullet points under for council discussion. This regards inspection at regular intervals versus transfer of title. And if you look through our ordinance there on page 8, I think, our town WTS ordinance calls for inspections every 7 years. And if you peruse the county's transfer of title stuff in their regulations, you will find it, what is that thing, 139 pages long. They have covered Reg 43 in every there's no confusion on how that's to be done and how new septic systems are supposed to go in or how they're repaired and so forth and so on. But the part that we and so they have complied completely with Reg 43 in their county regs. And so once a septic system is installed correctly, it does not have to be dealt with again by anyone in the county until such time as the property sells. There were a couple of exceptions in there. And so the question has floated around here for some time, and I welcome any discussions, questions, debate, whatever you want to call it. So I guess I will open this up to the board, and then we'll open it up to the public, and we'll just see what transpires this evening. You got a thought? Please go.
I would like to hear from our environmental health agent, Kurtz, and just to describe what essentially you have presented to us before and why we want this change, or would like this change.
So make sure you get that microphone on, hold it right up close to your mouth. And did you hear Mr. Reed's question in its entirety? Okay.
Yes.
Name.
Oh, for the record, this is David Gibb, the environmental health agent for Pitkin. And I started researching this with the county several months ago to find out how their program works. And my thoughts about Pitkin is that we've been doing pretty well with education on how the systems work and how to take care of them and what to do and what not to do. And I continue to enjoy posting educational things at the post office because you do need to know all of that. But I have been impressed that in all these years of handling the inspection reports and filing things away and answering questions, that we really haven't had people that don't want to take care of their septics. Everybody wants to take care of their septics, and if they don't, it's outrageously expensive to replace things. So I've been encouraged by the way they've been taken care of, and the people seem to be aware. Most of the time, well, a lot of the time, people in town haven't been paying attention to what the board says. And so I've been getting inspection reports still every 3 years for people that haven't even been asked to do it. And, that's encouraging. Everything's been fine. There hasn't been any bad deal at all go on. And so number one, I think that people are more educated and I think they're used to taking care of their systems. And I plan on continuing to be able to provide education and input for that. And I just feel like, Pitkin would not be harmed at all by going to this. And I think it would be beneficial for the buyers of properties. Most of the time now, not all the time, but most of the time, like maybe because they're used to it elsewhere, but people have been demanding inspections on purchasing property and, I frankly don't think if it's had a successful inspection 2 years prior to the sale, you wouldn't need to go do it again unless everybody involved in the process wanted to. But other than that, I just feel like Pitkin's ready for this. Questions?
I have a question, Kayla. So is it your opinion that we stay with every 7 years and add transfer of title? Or what exactly?
No, I think that we could just go to transfer title. Because of what I had just said about people seem to be more aware now and are taking care of their systems pretty well. We do every 7 years. I don't know why we would require, but that'd be up to you, a transfer of title one. That would be, up to the board, or if you don't want to deal with it, then it's between the realtor and clients, just what it is now.
I guess one question I have, Galen, you may not have exact numbers to answer this, or maybe you, I don't know. But with the way it has worked, first was 3-year requirement on inspection, then 7. How often would you say it is that someone gets an inspection that turns out to require pumping or whatever is necessary that they didn't realize before they got the inspection?
That's a little hard to answer in that we do have some inspectors in Gunnison County that they will not inspect the system unless they pump it. So they're requiring pumping at each inspection. And that's pretty pricey, it's over $1,000 to pump your
Yeah.
septic. So.
I forgot about that because I was aware of, many of, maybe not all, I don't know, but many of the inspectors requiring it to be pumped before doing an inspection. So I guess my question becomes irrelevant if that's the case.
And I know that there's one in particular that requires it, and then there's others that don't. But the one that requires it seems to get called up here a lot, so probably been a lot of systems pumped.
I guess my question was specifically for David, although she might be able to help him sooner. Over 30 years, I've lived in houses that have septic systems. Up until we moved here, we never had to have a septic system inspected. And from what I've seen of inspection systems and working with the septic systems in 2 different houses,
the first person that knows that there's a problem is the owner. And I know that quite well from the first house that I was in. The leach field became saturated with water and we backed up. And we had to fix the leach field. And it was never inspected, never was required by law. The part that I am concerned with Pitkin is that several years ago, there was great concern about short-term rentals and the septic systems being overused and flooding the fields and contaminating water. And it concerns me that less than 10 years ago, about 8 years ago, we felt like our inspections need to occur every 3 years. And then in 2021, we moved it to 7 years. And now we're contemplating going to a transfer of title. And I think I brought this up at one of the previous meetings. When I looked up in the town of Pitkin, I know there's over a dozen properties that are in trust, and those are irrevocable trusts. Which means that when the parents die, and the property then transfers to the kids, it's still in that same trust, and there's never a true transfer of title. And my fear is those properties then would never have an inspection.
It's been my experience in working with several trusts, that they do change hands for whoever's in charge of. It's still a trust, but it changes to the different generation or whatever, so there is always a real person that is the contact person.
I understand that, but I understand that when it's in a trust, that's what's on the title. So the title itself doesn't transfer. The kids' name may become, the Gunnison County Assessor's site or whatever may be shown there, but the title itself does not change. And my fear on those vehicles, we're going back to that move. Sorry, on those properties is that they would never then have an inspection, and that does concern me because of the concerns you've been brought up previously with usage of the septic system. So I'm honestly, I'm torn both ways.
I have a suggestion. When I send out letters, of course, I have to live on the county assessor's site to get the proper address because it could have changed from whenever. And so, with trusts specifically, and there are not an overwhelming number, maybe you could keep track of if the address changes and somebody else is in charge, and that would trigger then not a transfer of title per se, but a transfer of owner.
And I guess it's going to come down. What I think it's going to come down to is if we decide to go this way, the verbiage we put into it. Because if I'm on the other side of the fence and I'm the heir to that property, and I'm told, well, you need to get an inspection. Well, no, the ordinance says transfer of title. There was no transfer of title, so I don't have.
Right, we have to word that.
And that's why I think we're gonna have the verbiage tonight to cover that if you decide to go. So that's one of the issues I have a question.
So, yeah, this is Tom, and I'm gonna jump in here for just a minute. So I have perused the county's 139 pages, I don't know, but anyway, they do have about 5 different exceptions in there. And we can do the same thing. Transfer of title and the exception being that, and I don't know how to do it. When a trust turns over, a new kid comes in, we can put that exception in. But, it's, I'm kind of like you, you know, it's, on the one hand, 7 years is quite a while. And I don't know how often properties in Pitkin get bought and sold. So I don't feel like I have a particular notion in this discussion. I just, what do we think would best serve Pitkin? And as you brought up, there may be a few things that we can include in our verbiage to kind of tighten this up so that if we do go to transfer power, that we take care of some exceptions.
So it does bring up another question for me in my mind. Several months ago, and I brought it up when we started talking about having exceptions, the proper language with the town attorney. Several months ago, I know we discussed the WTS as environmental health board. We also discussed trying to have a joint meeting with Mr. Cusino and our town attorney. I was kind of hoping it's too, just quite honestly, before I'm willing to go forward to vote on the transfer. I've got some questions I'd like to answer for these two things. I'd like to ask this question to both of them. I think our attorney said we send it to the something. Some questions. So, I'd like to pursue.
Both of them were going to be on board tonight for our work session. Are they, is it supposed to be for the next council meeting instead, or might I misunderstood?
I have no knowledge of these two men joining us on any meeting at this point.
Have you made any contacts, Sarah? With either of those two?
No.
So I'd have to go back into the minutes, but I know one of the meetings, one of our board meetings, the attorney told us that it stopped the institution. And so he said he would be willing to be one of the meeting section. And answer a few questions. As the problem says.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Ed has some questions. He feels needs to be directed to the guys upstream, so to speak, on the attorney and on the Mr. Cusino to the state. Any other?
Can I just make a quick comment?
Yes, ma'am.
There
Please.
is a procedure by which a town that wishes to make revisions to its WTS ordinance sends its draft to the state for review. So when the town discussed having a meeting with the attorney at Cusino, that was with regard to enforcement. They did not agree to have a meeting to discuss revisions to the OWTS ordinance, because they've already got a procedure for that.
No, I believe the questions were on enforcement. But some of my questions that I have are on enforcement and may tie directly into what we discussed.
I thought it was interesting when I read someplace and made a couple of phone calls to the county that the realtors in the county were opposed to this for quite some time. And I think it may have been something that Sarah even passed on to us, where the realtors are on board now.
No, I don't have that information.
Oh, okay, you'll pass that on, okay. I thought that was interesting. I remember in this room, Bob Williams, saying that 3 years was overkill, and that he thought 7 years was fine. And I guess that 7 years has served as well. I'm wondering for
I think
the,
the first the first of the 7 is coming up this summer. There's 35 systems
Well, they have to be,
this summer on the 7th year.
so then they'll be jiggled around a little bit depending on, well, maybe not, I was gonna say depending on sales and things like that. If we're protecting the town with these transfer of title, or transfer of title inspections. But I think according to what I read, if they've been inspected within 2 years, it wouldn't have to be done at that time. I mean, that's one thing, but I'm always like, buyer beware. Does governmental oversight have to happen with everything? Where does it, do we oversee everything in a sale? I'm not really interested in making more regulations, but of course, we want our GPS is saved. So I sure wouldn't want to go less than 7. I think that's according to the engineer. Actually, more than one engineer I talked to. So I don't know. Well, I'm interested in him, but
Okay, we bounce it around up here, you guys got, Ed, go ahead.
I got 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Came about it, the other stuff. And the first one's for data. Do we have any systems out there that haven't been inspected within the last, I guess, 7 years that are delinquent on inspections?
There is one that I don't seem to be able to nail down, and he's not here most of the time, and so that's probably why I'm having a hard time, that I've never successfully gotten an inspection.
It's not complete.
Hmm?
It has not been condemned.
No, it's north. That's not north. Upstream on State Street, one of those.
I didn't know that, but that's been a while, probably something that's on that. The other thought I had, and I didn't get a chance to do this, I was gonna ask. If we look at the properties in town. I'm not sure how we look at this. Do we know what the average is of ownership? With the transfer? I just kind of thought as we were talking about that. I mean, I don't know that I want to find an average. But I'm curious to see. I mean, there's probably some properties in town that have been owned for 20 or 30 years.
Right before I mail out the letters, I check the addresses so they're recent. Because the county's pretty quick, so they get the new information on there. So I never know until I get ready to address the envelopes, which will happen this April.
Before you leave, I have one other question. Are there currently any qualified available inspectors in Pitkin or the Pitkin area?
I'm not aware of anyone in Pitkin right now that is certified.
Or anyone that needs or wants to get an inspection has to get it from Gunnison or further?
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, I would, like to open this up, see if there's any public comments, either on Zoom or in person. Anybody got a comment? Anybody want to talk? Mr. Garrison?
Yes, just Garrison. Just personal comments. I thought 3 years was way overkill. I think 7 years is very reasonable. And if I were buying a home, I would want the septic inspector. Having made those comments, I find it interesting that, I have to pump it in order to get it inspected. So why would I even want to pay a guy to inspect it if I had to pay for a pump? In the 3-year terms, I always had it inspected, hoping I wouldn't have to pump. So I think that's overkill on inspectors or whatever. But my knee jerk is stay with the 7 and add the time of transfer of title. And the reason I say stay with 7, it keeps your ordinance very simple and direct. Because if we have arguments about these trusts, for example, no matter who's in charge, every 7 years, it's going to be inspected. So those are my comments as far as the 7 years and the transfer of title. The thing that bugs me is we don't even mention incinerators, compostings, or gray water systems. I don't know how to dispose of any of these things, and probably Gayla does, but I see it's kind of interesting, we only are concerned about septic tanks and leach fields. Those are my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Jesse, would you say that last line one more time? About incinerating or something or something?
Yes, I find it interesting that we don't mention incinerator systems, composting systems, or gray water systems,
Thank you.
all of which could contaminate our groundwater, along with a regular septic tanks.
So what you'll find, and this is just my take on things after reading and hearing from Mr. Pearson over the years, is that Rate 43 is a forward, progressive, from here on out kind of thing. And those who are dragging their feet with, whatever, at some point, I suppose the hope is that the turnover will be sufficient so that people finally eventually do pull up to speed. But you cannot, at this, when Reg 43 went in, that kind of ended any sketchy. Everything else had to pass, everything that goes in now has to pass muster. And I really do not like the term grandfather, but all the systems that are currently in place are difficult for everyone. That's just in mind.
So this is, I'm asking this is what I do for later, I guess. So if we have a system that's an incinerator and composter tool, obviously have to have a gray water system. From what I understand, those two type of devices. Do we do any inspections on those systems today?
No, there are no guidelines on inspections for that.
Is that for new construction also, that you can still do composting or whatever else is it called?
You can still do composting, if they Colorado just legalized gray water
Well,
systems.
yeah, you should see the strings they put on that thing.
Well,
This is
they're
like the
complicated.
manufacturing and industry.
They're complicated.
And multi-filtration and high dollar system, no homeowner would ever jump through those hoops. I mean, it costs as much as your house. Well, maybe not, but.
So you can't, Tom, you're saying it's expensive and complicated. I was just thinking if, it's so expensive to build these days and start from scratch. So that's not an avenue that people can do these 3 things that you mentioned, composting and whatever else. incinerators and that, and the gray water system is not gonna cheapen up the.
No, so incinerator and composting will still require you to have a conditioned septic system. Tagged on to it. So you can be Mr. Environmentally friendly and, still have to, on new installations, they're,
Are outhouses legal? Can you put new outhouses in or not?
Yeah,
I-
just ask me that.
Oh,
Yes, I think Pitkin is still,
No,
not new ones.
not
no,
new ones.
no, it's in our ordinance.
well, Pitkin can't, I just read in the county.
Yeah,
thing that I
no.
thought in the county it can't.
If you want to know the regulations and what's allowed, you would want to look at Pitkin's current OWTS ordinance.
Yes.
All these answers are in there.
It's been a while since I've read it. But I did read in the counties where you can, I think in the county you can put an outhouse in.
Right,
And
so,
that's why it has lots of stipulations.
Oh, yeah,
So
you
you-
can have flies, you can't have propane. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot.
so in our ordinance, they're on the last page with our, what we allow and what we don't. There's new pit privies, no. So, no new ones. So the pit privies over there at the, town hall, and there's a few others that are still functional, but when those go away, then they're gone. Any other comments from the, anywhere? Any questions?
Does somebody have their hand up there? I can't really see the screen that well.
Well, Ricky's got a foliage picture of it. Oh, no, that's not Ricky. Well, I anticipated that this evening would pretty much just be it's kind of a question and answer and through the air sort of thing. And, as Sarah pointed out, in the event that we should decide that we would like to go to transfer the title, then we have to revise our ordinance, and then we have to submit that, is my understanding.
Right, so you have to revise your ordinance, submit it to the Department of Health 30 days ahead of a public hearing. Public hearing has to be noticed, you have to hold a public hearing. And I don't remember exactly the timeline following that, but I do know there's a 30-day requirement during which the Department of Health has to have the ordinance draft to review. So
And I'm assuming state has to approve this also.
that's what I meant, the state, whatever the department is called, public health and the environment, I guess. Yes, it's the state.
So,
the state
yeah,
has-
tonight's not gonna generate a vote. All tonight can do is generate a few answers to a few questions and a little more interest and explore some of the possibilities and the opinions. And, I really did anticipate that this would not, this is not rocket science, it's not gonna take hours to do. However, this is time that we get to spend now, and we don't have to spend it at a regular meeting, and so this is informal and easy to do, and doesn't take up 2 hours. So anyway, Jesse, you got something?
I'm curious, do we have any realtors that are zoomed in tonight that we can get any input straight from the horse's mouth? That they are encouraging him to go with a change of title or transfer?
I have, no, all the hearsay that I have received has been one way or the other, nothing definitive.
Thank you.
And that's all I know, it's just hearsay.
Ricky has a comment.
Oh, please, go ahead.
I think it would be a great deal to have, a great thing to have. This is Ricky Miller again, 1100 State Street. And to have inspection on transfer of ownership or title or any of those things like that. In our area here in Alabama where I live, we do not have septic tank inspections at all. They either work or they don't. And to ditto the comment that Jesse made, and I made this choice but my inspector also owned a company that sucked out septic tanks. So well, I had to pay to get it sucked out to get it inspected. So there's that. I wish there would be a different inspector that had no connection, but it is what it is, and that's just my comment.
Thank you.
I understand that the county, I think this is what I remember that I read, the county strictly and only does transfer of title, no inspections in between. It's correct.
Well, Sarah, do you have anything you think we need to add to this? Ramon, you got any thoughts or questions? This just put stuff in your brain to think about?
Not on this issue.
Okay. Mr. Pianoza? Yeah? So, looks to me like we've kind of circled the wagon and closed a few gaps and had a few questions, and we definitely understand the procedure in the event that we should decide we want to do this. It's still got to jump through hoops. At a regularly scheduled meeting, the board could vote that we want to do this, and then it's still up in the air until such time as that resolved. So nothing happens tonight other than hopefully we learn a little bit more and got some input from our EHA and those people who have been here a while. And Mr. Miller, I really appreciate that, because that's true. I grew up on septic systems, and the fact is they work or they don't. In fact, yeah, I did have about, how many years did we live in town? There on Hardin? 3 or 4? No, that's the only time we didn't have septic in my life. Well, if everybody's satisfied that we have covered the bases we're able to cover tonight and discuss the information that we need to, I would entertain a motion to call this work session to an end.
This is that I move to section.
This is your second.
Okay.
I couldn't hear.
Ed said he moves that we conclude the work session for tonight. And Jared seconded it. And Ramon says, okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you so very much, everyone. I appreciate it.